All right, everybody, welcome back to Room A108. I'm your host, David. Joining me, as always, my co-host, CJ. And we are coming back to you for Season 2 of Room A108. It's been a fun first season. Haven't even really been a year yet, but we're right there, a couple months away from being a full year of getting our first podcast under our belt. And I feel like, we've come a long way, got a lot of things accomplished that we looked out to accomplish, and, things started to come together, and here we are for Season 2.
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, we about 9 months in, basically.
Yeah, we started last December.
December. Yep. So, yeah, man. Season 1 filled with, a lot of dope content, man, from just, the stuff that we were putting out in the sports world, and then we started integrating the interview aspect of it, man,
Yep.
and got a lot of people that we look at as, like hometown heroes, people that haven't exactly had the spotlight put on them in a way that we felt they should.
Yeah.
So, whether, starting with Neil.
Yeah.
Man, shout out to him, big win a couple weekends ago, right?
Yeah, we were texting back and forth through that whole thing. I told you, I woke the boys, they were asleep, and they had a stoppage, and I jumped and cheered, and they both woke up crying. I was like, oh, my bad, you got to understand. It's a big moment, so, no,
Yeah,
that was
man.
good stuff.
So all of that, man, from Neil to, Reggie and Deshaun, Trey, of course, obviously. Who,
Jeremy, Leslie.
Yeah, Jeremy, man. Can't forget Jeremy, Leslie, man. So that was a nice little amount of people that we had, man. So shout out to them.
And it was, as before we started this podcast, we kind of, we were both shooting ideas back and forth. And I feel like with these podcasts, a lot of times you kind of have to just go with it too. So a lot of things that we planned for, did happen, and then things started kind of just falling into place as far as the guests, and of course with Neil coming on, as far as everybody, but Neil was the first one to kind of break down that barrier for us as far as the whole interview process. But the one thing we discussed that we don't want to keep ourselves contained to just one certain aspect of this podcast. We are able to branch off. We could talk about the Bears. We could talk about college football, talk about any various sports, and randomly have episodes where we do live episodes online. We did the draft. And then, we also go back to our school, Thornwood Legends, having on here.
Yeah,
So
I'm just glad that we kicked it off and built the brand,
yeah.
With those people.
Yeah, for sure. So, hey, if you all are watching, everybody, Neil, Deshaun, Reggie, Leslie, Trey, everybody, we're appreciative, and thank you for coming on. It's a strong start to the season. We do not plan on slowing down anytime soon. We took a brief hiatus just to give us a little breather. It's a lot of work that goes behind these podcasts that people don't realize.
Because life be lifing, bro.
Life is lifing.
So we both have, had some personal / kind of like, family hurdles recently that we had to, overcome. And then you're talking about, scheduling around both of our, schedules, and, and then Jason, and then the people that we were trying to interview and have on, and Amber. Shout out to Amber behind the board.
Oh, always. Yeah, we always want to give you a shout out, Amber, the camera person.
Amber's that's another person who we, just this fluid kind of, bouncing dates back and forth and trying to see, what'll hit. But, thankful, for everybody, man. And for anybody who's watched all of those episodes, shout out to y'all. Appreciate y'all. Let us know which was your favorite. I'd be curious to hear,
for sure.
some of the people, from our way, who do y'all think, was kind of the most interesting, or your personal favorite is the question I would have for a lot of people.
Yeah, and we actually got a lot of feedback. We put that post out there for people that, that they would want to see on here, and we definitely had sent some feelers out there and reached out to people. But we also want to mix it up. Like, we were texting recently, and it's like we don't want to lose this, our rapport of, me and you talking about what initially brought this on, our initial idea. And also, I wanted to touch on something. I don't know if you've heard the same thing. I don't really necessarily take it as shade, but a lot of input people give from the outside for our podcast. They're like, "Oh man, you gotta liven it up. You know, you guys are just too chill." I'll say this, and I'm not being bitter when I say this, but like CJ and I, we're not Stephen A. Smith, we're not Skip Bayless, we're not Shannon Sharp, we're none of these people that you see on TV. You know, we have our own personality, and the last thing we want to do is be something phony. And I mean, you can sense that a mile away. So if that's what you want to see, they're very easy to pull up on ESPN. You can watch them. But if you want to see that, this ain't the show for that. It ain't. So we are who we are. We take good constructive criticism. But I can't be phony like that. Now, if a conversation calls for us, you know, to maybe turn up, that's fine. You know, it'll get that way. But I can't do the over the top dramatics and stuff like that. That's not who I am, and I know you. That's not who you are either.
No,
so.
Man. Even when we disagree, it ain't
It's
crazy.
Yeah.
You know, it ain't over the top. And I think we actually did kind of speak on that in a prior episode, or maybe it was one of the Facebook Live episodes. But it's just like, hey, you know, we aiming to be here to be, you know, entertaining and informative, and you know, give people an angle that they may not, you know, really see.
Yeah.
But, you know, to think that we about to be sitting here going at each other and, you know, popping a blood vessel or something, like it ain't happening, man. It ain't happening. And if that's what you're looking for, you got to find that somewhere else.
Yeah, and you can tell, like, a lot of times people just say things just for clickbait. You know, it's not, if what I say or what you say happens to be something that would be clickbait, that's fine, but I'm not going to just intentionally throw something out there just for the shock factor. That's not for me. I mean, podcasts are a dime a dozen nowadays. You can pull up a podcast anywhere. And I just don't want to fall in that group of, you know, let's do what everybody else is doing. I'd rather do what we've been doing, what we're comfortable doing, you know, what you and I have kind of discussed. And so I think we're on a good path. And with you all, you know, tuning in all the time, it seems like we got a good following now, you know, a lot of support. So I'm proud of what we've done so far. You know, I'm appreciative that, you know, you've been here, man. And, you know, I couldn't really ask for a better co-host to have on here, man. So I want to let you know I appreciate you too, man.
Oh, man, for sure. Ditto, bro.
Yeah.
Right back at you, man.
I want to run away.